Hi, this is Chandrashekhar Prabhu once again. In the last post, we discussed what were the problems with case studies when the government decides to undertake redevelopment on its own. There are some issues which are real, there are some issues which are unreal, which are imaginative, but the government really needs to handle that. We have told you in the last post and we reiterate today that I am personally in favor of the government taking up responsibility of the projects and trying to implement them. But what are the risks? Let us take, for example, the simple case studies of the 14,800 old and dilapidated cessed buildings, if all of them have to be reconstructed, redeveloped. First of all the 14,800 buildings do not come up for reconstruction. All the 14,800 buildings are not in a bad condition. There may be 2,000 to 3,000 buildings which are in a perfectly good condition. I know of a building in Tardev which is about 90-year-old building, but the tenants of the building have been so vigilant and with the help of MADA have repaired the building from time to time, and the condition of the building is so good that nothing is likely to happen to the building for at least 20 more years. Having said this is not the case of all the buildings. More than 1,500 to 2,000 buildings are really in a bad shape. The government does not have the money to spend for repairs. The tenants are so poor that they cannot contribute the gap between that which the government is willing to spend and that which is required for the repairs. So what happens to these buildings? These buildings have to go in for reconstruction or redevelopment. But what is the main obstacle? The main obstacle, unfortunately, is the new amendment to the MADA Act. Under the earlier rules, Chapter 8 would have been applied to these buildings, and any building which is beyond repairs, dangerous, old and dilapidated, where the amount for repairs that MADA could have built or repaired, the amount is over and the tenants do not have the financial capacity to pay for the remaining amount. In such cases, what happens is very simple. That MADA issues notices to the landlords, acquires the building and the compensation as per Chapter 8 of the MADA Act, which has not just been approved but confirmed by various benches of the Supreme Court, operates, and then the properties belonging to the private owners who have neglected those buildings for years together goes to MADA and the government. Once the government takes over such buildings, the tenants could pay 100 months rent as the compensation, which could go towards payment of the money to the landlords, and the building can then be demolished. The tenants be shifted to transit accommodation, some of which have been built in place of the mill lands, and some of which can be built on Bombay Port Trust lands. And in a stroke, in one go, 1,500 to 2,000 buildings can be reconstructed by getting the best of contractors that are available either here or anywhere else in the world. And these contractors would then build, and those surplus flats that are generated, portion of them could be given to those on the master list. What is the master list? Master list is a list of those people who have been living in old and dilapidated buildings. Their buildings have been demolished, but the land on which such buildings are there are required for a public purpose, like road, like garden, like playground, like school, like hospital, like pipeline, and so on. And new building can't be built on the original place where they were living. For such people, there is a master list. So the surplus flats, some of them can be given to those in the master list, and the remaining can be sold in the open market, and the full cost of construction can be recovered. So without spending any money from the government's coffers, 2,000 buildings which are presently not in good condition could be reconstructed or redeveloped by the government, if necessary with the help of the Builders Association of India, or it could be through a global tender by getting the best of contractors without going through any association. The one who bids the best quotes, and the one who is best suited, and the one who has the experience to build good quality construction, and the one who falls within the A category of contractors who can deliver good quality of construction, such people can be shortlisted and it can be built. But there is a hitch. The hitch is very simple, that the new amendment to the MADA Act requires us or the government to pay 25% of the ready reckoner price, or whatever is the sellable area, 15% of the sellable area, the price, selling price of the flats of 15% of the sellable area, whichever of the two, the 25% of the ready reckoner or 15% of the sellable area, whichever two of the two is more. If this formula is applied, then for the first 2,000 buildings to be acquired, we have done a rough calculation, we would require a minimum of 5 to 6,000 crores for just the acquisition of these buildings. Even if we take 400-500 buildings, we would require 3,000 crores. The government doesn't have that kind of money, and the government would now realize how wrong it was to summarily approve this MADA amendment. Fortunately, the amendment has not yet been signed by the President of India. So at this stage, if the government wants to make changes in the amendment to the MADA Act, it can do it. Let wiser counsel prevail and let the government make such changes. That's the suggestion for today. And with this is Chandrashekhar Prabhu bidding you au revoir once again, promising you that we shall come back with more posts on the redevelopment of the cooperative housing societies, on the redevelopment of slums. Bye for now.